Hi everyone, and welcome back to my circle. Kamari Creative here, and I'm so glad that you are back. Thanks for liking, commenting, and subscribing. So glad you're here. It is National Poetry Month, and my contribution every year has been PoetChats. PoetChats is where I used to interview different poets that I've either known personally or have met on the poetic scene. This year, I am dedicating my time to actually posting the videos that I captured. I have some in my archives from many, many years ago, and I am finally catching up. So this is what I'm doing this month, 2022 in April. I'm posting some previously recorded Poet Chats. This day, I am sharing the interview from the one and only Jaha Zainabu. You're going to enjoy this live. Make sure you stay tuned, listen, take notes, enjoy yourself. It's a good one. PoetChats is all about celebrating poets for this National Poetry Month. I have here with me the amazing, the best poet in the world, Jaha Zainabu.
Hello, everyone.
So we're going to be talking live this way, which is exciting. I think you're the first poet that I'm interviewing in person. Everybody can do Instagram, so it's like more authentic this way. So everyone, make sure you're getting your questions ready. And if you ask them in there,
ask away. I'm an open book.
Take advantage of that.
Take advantage of that.
Seriously. So, Jaha, for those that have never met you before and you're completely new to them, tell us a little about yourself.
My name is Jaha Zainabu. I am a mother. For the past 10 years, I've been a blogger. That's one of my favorite things to do. I'm also a painter. I speak publicly. I perform poetry. I'm trying to read stuff as I'm speaking. I like to goof around. I enjoy sharing poetry. I enjoy teaching poetry. I'm getting grayer by the minute, I see.
That wisdom.
That's that wisdom. I don't know. Just ask me anything.
So I'll get the ball rolling with asking some questions. So, how did you get to be amazing? That's like a loaded question.
I don't really consider myself amazing, but one day, I have a godmother who's incredible. And I asked her, I said, why do poets and artists go through so much stuff? And she said, because you'll tell it. Mm-hmm. And I found myself telling my truth. Like, I used to write poems that were like, and this happened to her, she did this. First of all, never believe a poet telling a story about somebody else. So I started owning my story and telling my truth, telling things and that I was, could be embarrassing to say. I was diagnosed as bipolar, and so I started telling those stories. I started telling stories of when I was having suicidal ideations and this isn't a good day, meaning like I just might not be here on the planet. And so that didn't make me amazing, but it did connect me with a group of people who felt like, God, I feel like that too sometimes. Life is rough for me too sometimes. Mm-hmm. And not rough like, the slaves had it bad too. Yes, they did. But my rough is rough too, Mm-hmm. And there's a way my brain is wired that has me have life show up a little challenging for me.
Yeah.
And so I started telling the truth about that.
I want to know more about why not trust poets that tell someone else's story.
I just don't believe. I just believe that we all are telling our own story over and over and over and over. That's just what I believe. I believe painters paint themselves. I believe poets tell stories about themselves. The more she poems I hear from women, I sit back like, that's you.
That's you.
That's you.
We got a question in. If you got questions, we got two. Let's see. Auntie Sai comes with the questions. She says, are you still doing a poem a day? How long did you do that?
I'm doing a poem a day for NaPoWriMo for the 30-30-30. I'm doing that this year. In 2013, I did a poem every day. And then in 2014, I did a poem every day up until October. But I write something every day. So it's usually on my blog, and it could just be a journal entry, just how my day went that day, or just something. There's something about poetry that brings out the really ugly and nasty in me. Like, and I think it's a good thing. Like, at least I'm not holding it inside of me. You know, I'm like, if I'm angry, I can just let it out, and it doesn't have to make sense. I see a question. What's the name of your blog? My blog is Jaha. What is my blog? Jaha's World. Yeah, JAHA'S.blogspot.com. So Jaha's with an S. JAHA'S World.blogspot.com. But if you Google Jaha Z, it'll come up somehow.
And one thing that's amazing about Jaha, she has a book called 365.2013, and that are all the poems that she wrote that year in 2013. So you should get that as soon as this live is over, as soon as you watch this video, hop on over to worldstagepress.org or Amazon and get that book. Support amazing artists who you know write a poem every day.
Every day. The light bill is due.
It's due. You know. We have a lot of questions. Let me scroll up here. We missed this one. When did you write your first poem? When did you realize you were a poet?
You know, I always knew I was I always knew I was a writer. I didn't always know I was a poet. I knew I was a writer when I was in elementary school, and I didn't know I was a poet because the only poetry they introduced to us was like Shakespeare, and I like Shakespeare now, but as a kid, that was a lot for me.
Yes.
And then in high school, I got introduced to Nikki Giovanni's work, and I was like, that's a poem? Word? And I was like, I could say that and it'd be a poem? You know, like I didn't, you know, and I think that comes from just not having women of color and people of color be your teacher. You know, my kindergarten teacher was black, and I had a black history teacher, and that was it. In all my years of schooling, those were my only two black teachers. And so I had to find out these people kind of on my own, you know, in the library, like, oh, this is poetry and this is poetry. And so I just started I started pulling from my journals, like, wow, I'm going to make this a poem. Mm-hmm. And then something in me, I knew I wasn't a novelist. I don't know if it was like the patience I didn't have, but there was something in me that told me that wasn't really my thing. But I knew that I was a poet. I just needed to be trained. I needed to learn the craft. And I was interested in the process. I love the messy of a good poem. Mm-hmm. How you just, like, I'm not a cook, but people who like to cook describe how they like their hands. That shit is not me, but I like getting my hands dirty in a good poem. Yes.
So do you ever feel like your poems, your pieces are enough?
No. Like I was just saying, so if you go to my blog, the past 4 days, those poems are like shit. But at least I'm writing and getting through it, because sometimes you have to get through it, and then that one bomb poem will come. And then you might go through a week, and it's like, this is whack. And I just let it be whack for a little while. You know, maybe I'll go back to it and as a prompt or whatever. But yeah, I feel like my poems aren't enough often. I feel like I'm not enough often. So,
but how did you deal with that with the book? Because did you go and edit every poem, or you just left it as is?
Some of them I left as it is, and I never intended it to be a book. That was Hiram's idea. It was just like how I was feeling, and it was just to show the arc of a year. Like the year began with me in a relationship, and then I was engaged, and then we broke up, and then we got back together, and then we broke up again, and then I was semi-homeless because I didn't know, and then I was living in a spa, and then, and so the book does all these, loop-de-loops, and it was just to document the year. It was never intended to be a book that I would sell. And then World Stage Press was like, I think we could sell this. Is that Shonda Buchanan? Hi, Shonda Buchanan. Hi, Anisha. What do you have?
Oh, wait, there's one more before that.
Oh.
It's actually another one up in here we didn't even get to. It's a lot. When is your next Red Stories?
I don't know. I'm I wanted to be something like to continue, but life kind of took over again. So I don't know when the next Red Stories is, but I'm doing pop-up poetry in different places. So like in different homes and different venues. So if you have a dope-ass den that could fit 30 people. Oops. There's a trash can. There's a good view of the trash can. So if you have a dope-ass home that can fit like 30 people and you want a poet, call me.
Yes. Definitely call. Definitely DM. All those things. You distinguish between always knowing you were a writer, yet not knowing you were a poet. What is the distinction for you?
Well, when I was younger, I always thought, because I didn't hear a lot of poetry, I always thought writing was, once upon a time, it was a story with characters that arced and had a beginning and a middle and an end, and it was like 100 pages. But a poem, maybe it's just 3 stanzas. And maybe I can tell a whole story in those 3 stanzas. And I didn't know that I had that license before I knew I was a poet. So for me, that's the difference. Like I always thought a story had to be like what's her name? Toni Morrison. Like those were stories. And I always fell short of being Toni, as if everybody falls short of being Toni,
right, exactly.
Just Toni.
Marquita asks, what advice do you have for a first-time author?
Right, just focus on writing a good story or writing a good poem. Don't set out to write the poem that's going to change the world, because that's what we do. We sit down with this blank page. We're like, I'm gonna shit on him. I'm gonna kill him. And you ain't gotta shit on them. Just tell the story. Just tell the story of your right now.
Yes, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that solid advice. Make sure y'all keep the questions coming. Keep the questions coming. Make sure you put it in the question box. You see a little box with a little question mark in it. That's the best way so that the questions do not get mixed.
Hi, Donnie.
Not mixed, missed. We don't want to miss your question. So make sure you put it in the question box. I've been asking every poet that comes on, according to Jaha Zainabu, what is the job of the poet?
To tell the truth. To tell the truth. Like, and sometimes it's not necessarily your truth. Like, I wrote a poem. I wish I had it with me. I left it in the car. But I remember some of it. But I wrote a poem, and it said, we'll work for food. We'll fuck for money. We'll suck for a shower and a night out. Anal for a month's rent. I will be your pretty girl. I will call you daddy. You can be my Superman. Keep me safe off the ground. Do you know concrete women like me? What we do for a tampon, a cheeseburger, a shake? Do you know how we live? Do you want a skinny woman? Do you want to see how fast I skinny? And that wasn't me putting myself out there. Like, hey, it's on and cracking. That was me just being in touch with women who are living those kinds of lives. Mm-hmm. And the poem has more power to put myself in it than for me to say, she does this, she does that. It just is more believable if I say it's me. And it's funny because you wouldn't believe how many people were like, what? Ja? But no, it wasn't about me. But I do know that kind of desperation. I know I mean, I have done things for a cheeseburger. Not a real cheeseburger, but you know what I'm saying.
Right. There's a lot of comments. Are they questions? Eternal and I have a great backyard. We should have a poetry reading here.
I would love that, Eternal and Lita. I would love that.
And it's done. Let's do it. I love how you always say to share your story, your favorite piece of bread that wasn't in the bakery. You definitely made that a reality for me. This is IJS, by the way. Concrete woman. Yeah, so keep the questions coming. So about the truth, what if, I've asked this before, what if your truth is wrong? Like, how do you know if your truth is not a real truth? Or
your truth is what it is. Like, and your truth or your life, your truth is not math. Like 2 + 2 it's just always going to be 4. But your truth is going to may change as you grow. Like how you relate to your history may change as you grow. So growing up, I was sexually abused by the guy who lived down the street. And that was painful and it was wrong. And now when I remember that story, he was 16. And it doesn't change that it was wrong. I feel like I'm going to get in trouble. Like, I feel like I should just shut up. But I see him as the 16-year-old boy who needs help. Who needs a lot of help before, I mean, okay, I'm getting in trouble right now. But do you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
So, like, as a kid, if I were a poet, if I were writing as a kid, I would write, and this mean man made me do this. But as a 50-year-old woman, I'm like, this boy was out here making this 4-year-old girl suck his penis. And it just shifts a little bit, but truth is just it's just the truth, you know, and it's very powerful, and we are guarded from the truth. I hate that what happens in this house stays in this house bullshit. I hate that so much because kids can't say this happened to me. They can't say, and that like, it really hurts me that kids have to live with, I better not say, you know, Uncle so-and-so touched me this way because what happens in this house stays in this house. Like, I hate that.
I agree. We should have more transparency. Poetess Price says, your poetry rant party was successful. What other ideas work for book sales? Is the sky the limit? Well, you see, we're having a backyard party.
Yeah,
backyard reading.
I'm having a backyard reading. I've been doing. I don't know if you follow me on Facebook, but I've been having pop-up shows, and I just like pop up. You get a week's notice, and the first one was incredible. Like, it was at Michelle Williams' grandmother's in her living room, and there were about 30 people all crammed in there, and I was just doing some new poems, and it was super dope, and the wine was incredible. And we laughed, and then the next one was at Irie Vibes on Normandy. Yeah, Normandy. That went great. I mean, I've just been having some, and so I'd like to do more of that. I'm trying to create I've lived most of my life. Like, I'm not trying to kick it till 100. And I'll be 50 this year. So I've lived a lot of my life. And I'm not like old, but I've lived a lot of it. And so I'm trying to create how I want to see this next chapter play out. And one of the things that I really love, like, I love big audiences and all that stuff, but what I love the most is me and an intimate crowd. I love to be able to stretch out and show out and tell jokes and laugh and be funny. and tell my truth and listen to your truth and listen to stories that come from the brother in the back row. That's what I want. So that's what I'm creating more of. So I'm really being serious. If you have that kind of space and you can fit, 15 to 30 people in your space, let me know, because I'd love to do that.
We have 3 questions. We rocking tonight. What are your thoughts on poets reading from the page?
I read from the page all of the time. I didn't used to. I used to be one of those poets. In my 20s, I was this fast pause, fast pause, fast, pause, effect, pause. Now, I just don't. My mind can't. I can't do it. So I'm never on stage without a book. But I do perform my ass off. Yes. I live the poem. I don't just stand there and go, roses are red, violets are blue, whatever the fuck, and I love you. I mean, I perform my ass off. I do, but I can't memorize stuff like I used to.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. There's a bit of thing that they have. I think it's possible to find what it makes. What are your thoughts on poets feeling they have to publish to be a real poet?
I was a real poet when I said I was a real poet. Mm-hmm. That was long before I was published. Yeah. When I discovered Nikki Giovanni's work in the 10th grade, you pretty much couldn't tell me shit at lunch because I was writing my poetry and it was real, and if you were in it, if you were fucking with me, that was the way I bullied you in my poetry. I was real, and I wasn't published for years later.
Right.
Bap.
There's that. But how would you maybe encourage somebody that's struggling, say, I'm not a real poet until I get my poem published?
I don't think, I think there are poets who are published who aren't real poets. I have read books like...
Come on now. Oh, it's so funny. True the Poetic asks, do you think it's possible to define what makes poetry? And if so, how do you define it?
Do you think it's possible to define what makes poetry? I don't know.
Like define
I
poetry?
mean, there are certain rules to poetry. Mm-hmm. I kind of, I'm a lot more free. Like there are, you have your sonnets and ballads and quatrains, and there are all kinds of different kinds of poetry. There are all kinds of rules to poetry. I think a poet should tell the truth and then look at that draft and see what truth is missing, and then tell the truth again, and then keep digging for more and more truth, and then add some metaphor in there to make it easy to swallow.
Yes. So while the more questions are coming in, would you like to share with us a poem?
I forgot I left everything in my car.
Is it like on Facebook or maybe? Or...
Oh, wait a minute, it's on my phone. Technology.
So while Jaha's pulling up her poem, make sure that you get your questions in. Feel free to ask anything about writing. As we see, she's an open book, and it's an amazing open book. And when you get off of this live, go to Amazon or worldstagepress.org and type in 365.2013 to get her book.
Right. Okay, this poem is called... It's not my favorite, but it's a recent one. So deal with me. You will deal.
We will deal.
You will. This poem is called X. That time he started doing crack again and stole my car, and I had to pick it up from the Snooty Fox Motel. And he thought I was wrong for breaking up with him because of one mistake.
Wow.
Note to exes who do crack. Okay, this is the poem ends here. This is just, nobody asked me. This is not a question. But if you do crack, and then you take like 7 years off of crackness, and you convince this woman who is a poet that, well, Donnie, what did you say? How do you know when you're getting
in your own way of the progress of a poem?
How do you know?
But wait, you gotta finish your thought.
Okay.
And you took a break, and you know your girlfriend's a poet.
And then he starts doing crack again. And then you break up with him like you should. Just accept that breakup. Don't ask why. That's all. I'm going to answer Donnie's question. Donnie, I called you just because I wanted to hear your voice the other day. Because I thought, like, I'm fucking on the list of people you would answer. And I didn't get an answer. So,
You calling him out right now.
how do you know when you're getting in? You know, I know when I'm getting in my own way, in the progress of a poem, when I try to make shit happen, when I'm trying to be deep, when I'm trying to be, when I'm forcing metaphors that don't make sense. I have go-to words that I don't like using. When I'm using words like thing is a word I don't like to use, because everything has a name. When I start one of my go-to things is lists. When I start long lists, is me kind of, I'm being a little lazy. I know I'm getting in my way. It's a sign that I need to put that poem down for a little while and come back to it later. So I don't know if that answered your call or not, but I love you so much. Did I tell you that? Have I told you lately that I love you? Am I putting you on blast?
That's beautiful, though.
Okay.
We have record that you love him.
We have record.
Yes. So I do have a question while another question. Wait, how many is that? 3 or 5? I can't see. This one. Have you ever edited so much you lost the voice of the poem? If so, how did you get the voice back?
I have poems that will never see the light of day. Like, I can over edit, but it takes sometimes we use over edit as an excuse. It takes a lot to really over edit. Like, it really, really does. Sometimes we go through 2 drafts and we're like, woo, mercy. I have just worked on this poem. When you haven't done shit, you did 2 drafts. You have not over edited yet. You haven't worked on it enough. You're not done yet. Maybe it's just not done. It'll tell you when your poems will speak to you. Your poem will say, I'm really not finished. Don't read me tonight.
Listen to that. Oh my gosh. I have a question though. So in regards to wow, hold on. Do you remember the longest time you set a poem aside? So I'm gonna pull this question up, but I have a question. So in regards to writing every day, I think that is such a skill, but more so like it's such a discipline. So can you talk about the purpose and like of discipline writing and why every writer should write every day?
I don't know that every writer should write every day. I should write every day. Writing is, my words are the thing that I'm going to leave behind. And I'm not going to, I don't have a lot of money. And I'm not going to leave a big fancy house to my son, but I have 10 years of these words. I have 10 years of I love yous. I have all these words. I have all these stories. This is my legacy. This is what I have to leave. And I mean, you got to get that there have been many days that this was going to be my last day. And so when you think about that, you think like, what would I say to my son? What would I say to my mother? What would I say to my sister, my brother-in-law, my nieces, my nephew? Like, what would I say, you know? And I may not meet my grandchildren, but I want them to be able to know a piece of who their grandmother was. Like, she was more than just what somebody may have told her. I was more than just those 2 albums I put out. So I write for that, and that's what I can do, and it's one thing that has me forward the rest of my day, the rest of my life. Like, if I don't get anything done, I wrote something down. If I don't get anything done, I started a poem. And that's enough sometimes for me to just say, you know what? I'm going to hang on there. I'm going to hang on in there till tomorrow. I'm going to finish this goddamn poem. Or this poem.
Beautiful.
Fuck it, whatever.
Fuck it, whatever. Do you remember the longest time you set a poem aside to return to it later?
I don't know that I remember that. I have set aside some poems for a really long time. I don't know the longest time. Maybe a month. And that doesn't even seem like a long time. But maybe a month, because like I used to write journals, like write my poems in journals, and then like I was on some Nipsey Hussle shit, and I was selling my journals for like $100, and they were selling, and so I would go each one would sell, I would go back and I would like edit the poems and see like, is this dope enough? Is this, so I was doing that. The rent got paid. Don't worry about it.
And so they were your poetry journals. You sold.
I hate hair on tables.
What is it? Oh,
it's just hair.
Probably my hair.
No, it's probably my hair.
Picking it, I'm like, so you sold your poetry journals, not necessarily like your.
No, not Dear Diary.
That's what I was wondering. I was like, did you sell those?
No. Dear Diary, I have a crush on. Woo, that would be pretty valuable, though.
That would, like a couple $1,000,
right?
Sure. Let's see. Do you okay? Oh my God. This is. That's what we got. Some poets love editing more than the writing. Some dread it. How do you feel about the process of editing?
I mean, I think they're the same. They go hand in hand. It's just like I don't have poems that I don't edit. I have to edit. You have to. For me, I have to go back and go, does this sound right? I think a poem should dance. I think I like to write to where I don't want all of my poems to sound alike, but I like all of my poems to sound like me. I like for anybody to be able to pick up my book and read the poem, and I like for somebody in the room to go, I bet Jaha wrote that. So I like the poem. Like a poem is something like that is its own thing, and you should be able to dance to it. And that laying the charts, I don't speak music, but laying down the music, that's the lyrics. But the metaphors and the similes and all the things that the spins, like all those things are important in a poem. So that's what I like. So I think you need both of them.
So can we hear another poem?
Okay, I'll give a better one.
That was good. While Jaha's pulling up her poem, make sure you get some more questions in. If I haven't gotten to your question, either there are some duplicates, and then she answered a lot of questions in her talking. So make sure you get your questions in while she's looking this up. Another plug, make sure you get her book, Amazon.com, RealStagePress.org, 365.2013. Once again, I'm with the amazing Jaha Zainabu, for those that are just now tuning in. Hey, Bridget Bianca says hey.
Hi, Bridget. Bridget, I want to perform with you so much. I want a show with me and you. That would
amazing.
That would I would dig that so much.
Were y'all at the Festival of Books?
Okay, I have a story about the Festival of Books. I forgot.
That's okay.
That's what happened. I forgot. And my cousin called me and he was like, "Where are you?" I was like, "At home. Where are you?" And he said, "At USC." And I'm like, "Is there a football game going on?" And I was like, "No." Okay, wait a minute. Here it is.
But there will be other time.
Okay. Okay, that's a whack one. That's a whack one too. Hold on. I'm looking for one that's not so whack. Okay, this one I wrote it. Sometimes some poems I write and I just don't explain. So this one didn't get a lot of likes or anything like that. But I was like, you know what? Fuck it. The title of this poem is called Queen. Bitch, slut, I don't love them hoes. Nappy, hooker, thought. Bitch better have my money. I don't give a fuck about a bitch. Pass her around. Pop it like it's hot. Motherfucking trick ass, hoe ass cunt. The end. Because that's what they call us.
That's true.
That's what they call us, so...
I want to ask a controversial question, but I don't want to, though, because it's too soon.
No, it's not. It's never too soon.
Oh, it's too soon.
Oh, okay.
Well, because it's about Nipsey.
Okay.
And a lot of people were there. It was a split. I was talking with someone who shall remain nameless, and it wasn't William. It was not him. He was just saying how he felt bad for the situation, but not so much because of how he talks to, about women, about people, saying nigga this or bitch this. So does that negate all of the work?
I said, but you know what? That's this year's conversation. I had that conversation when Tupac died. The same conversation. People were like, yeah, but what about bitch and what about niggas and what about... So, okay, yeah. Your mama. I want to see another poem now. And this poem, I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
I don't either. That's what I'm asking you.
But I dug Nipsey. Like, and I dug his. So I'm new to Nipsey's work. Mm-hmm. I was more, I was more into old school hip hop, but I dug what he was doing for the community, and I don't think that negated. It certainly didn't deserve death. Mm-mm. And I think what he was doing was very important to our community. And I still get chill bumps. Like, it is new. And it's hard. It's still hard. It's still hard. This poem is called Happy. When Urias laughs, summer, paid rent, my new red car. My doctor said, last time I saw you, you were happy. I said, I have happy hours, not days. He said, maybe we should go up on your lithium and you will be back to your old self again. I said, my old self was sad too. Candles, myrrh, sage, a clean house, a root beer float. I said, I'm taking too many sleeping pills. He said, don't do that, but sounded more like a stern father than a doctor. Long drives and loud hip-hop. grilled cheese, Merlot. He said, do you have a plan? I said, yes. The hot tub, the Grand Spa on 6th in Vermont. So my doctor, bless his heart, doctors don't believe black women. Especially, they don't believe that we experience pain. And I see a psychiatrist, and I'm on 6 shits, pills, or whatever. And I've had 3 breakdowns in his office. And breakdowns look, what? La 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 la, la 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 la, fa la 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 la, la 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 la. But those are words. And at the end, and he's sitting listening to me like this. We should go up on your lithium.
Wow.
So I've had 3 breakdowns. If I have 3 more, what is he going to say? Is he ever going to connect with me? I'm on the highest shit you can be on.
Right.
So, so that was his thing. He was like, if we go up on your lithium, you'll be back to your old self. And I'm like, dude, my old self was sad and broke too. So, good luck with that. Yeah. So that was that.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
What does ask mean?
That was when I was asking, when I was saying it's too soon to ask that question.
Oh, she was saying ask. So Bridget, I want to do a show with you. Can I call you? Am I calling you out? Okay, never mind.
No, she should still be on there.
Oh,
Like,
I see some black. I see some black hand claps.
Oh yeah, there. Yes.
Oh yes, yeah, hey.
Yes, appreciate you for sharing the show. Are there any? This is the last call for questions for those that are tuning in live. Please ask your questions now.
Go. I think it's Saturday to Donnie's Write Better workshop. It's called Write, like WRIT, Better. And I think it's from 12 to 1 at the lounge, the Greenway Court Theater. Don, if you're still on the line, then let me know if that's wrong. But Write Better, and I think it's only $10, and it's Donnie Jackson. So if I were you, I would have myself down there so that I could write better. That's what's up.
I'm definitely going to try to hit that.
Yeah, I am too.
How long have you been dealing with bipolar disorder, and how long have you been on medication?
I was diagnosed about 6 years ago. Was it 6 years ago? A long time. Seems like a long time ago. And I've been on medication about that long. I've been, hospitalized once. And, but I always knew something was off. Like, I always knew. I remember when I was in middle school, I used to ask my sister, like, do you ever get sad and you don't know why? And and they were always like strange questions. And I used to tell my mom, I'm an alien. And my mom, and I kept saying that one time. I was like, Mom, I'm an alien. I'm an alien. And she was like, stop saying that. And really, she was scared because she was like, this was just an alien. She's saying she's an alien. But she didn't know what to do with that, you know. But I knew something was off. I knew something wasn't right. The slide, I could go from being so happy, not happy, because the mania is like always associated with being happy, but it's not. That bitch is scary. Mm-hmm. Like, that bitch thinks she can fly, and she can't. And I would go from that to being real down and just like feeling hopeless, useless, ugly, just name it. And anything could just make me, I would pray to just not wake up. I would be disappointed when I did wake up. I mean, it was challenging for me in my middle school years. And then as an adult, I discovered poetry. And so I just wrote creepy poetry, but I never called it bipolar or any kind of mental disease until I actually had to go into a hospital.
Oh, I think these are the same questions. What have you learned about yourself from writing every day? And then this one too. Did you notice a change in your writing after starting medication?
I am. I'm a much better writer not on medication. But I'm a much better human being on medication. So that's, and what I learned about myself is that it just gives me a reason to keep living. It gives me a reason to keep going.
Yes. I think we got to these. Yep. So, if there's any more questions, this is the absolute last one. Maybe one more poem with us?
Okay, I'll find a good one. La 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 la. Okay.
Michelle says she loves you.
I love you too. Michelle who?
Williams.
Oh, hey, Simply Me. Dirty. Because there are rifle and gun and knife days when the wet of a shower is Everest and a forever climb. When covers wrapped Rubik's Cube are a locked cage and I am a zoo animal, not to be fed or touched or looked at the wrong way or too long. When a cry is more companion than good love. When the easy of anything is too far. When I believe the voices, the ones not my friend. The days I have to remind myself I cannot fly. That my head will splatter like egg, like hate if I jump. Like there are no do-overs, like there is only right now. When the only balm is my happy place, somewhere my secrets. Hold me then. When you see me falling, when clouds are so low my own name has been carved like splinter from my remember. Help me find simple when the nights are too heavy, when the forgive will not come, when I am hopeless and memories haunt like a horror flick. Massage this madness done spill down my thighs, in between my toes, back up through my spine. I will find myself again, in the open of some small crack in the morning. I will see clearly, will lily and rose myself to life again. Just wait for me there. Just love me easy if you can.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was fun. This was fun. Yeah.
This was great. This is
Hey.
really great live. All the great questions. Thank you to everyone that tuned in and asked all the amazing questions. You know? So I appreciate your support for tuning in. Thank you, Jaha.
Thank me. Can I have one of these?
Yep. Yes, you can.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in. And you're an amazing person and poet, and I look forward to reading all of those poems. I follow your blog.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Thank
I do.
you.
So jahazworld.blogspot.com, and Jaha's left the live, so that means it's over. Everyone.
Get in my butt. You should have in my butt.
No, I don't think so. But now everyone knows that on the replay from now on. Thank you all. I'll see you tomorrow, 8:30, same place, same time, here, Kamari Carter, Instagram. Tomorrow, I believe I'm speaking with Kelly Grace Thomas. I will confirm tomorrow. Thank you to all my viewers. You're amazing.
You interview somebody every day?
Every day for April.
That's great.
Yeah, it's amazing. I learned so much. Everyone is just so good.
That's great. Are you walking out?
Yes.